My name is Logan. I'm 19 and just started studying medicine in New York City. I'm originally from Dallas, Texas. My dad is a surgeon at a university hospital, and my mom stays at home. After I finished high school, I moved to New York 4 months ago to live by myself. I worked really hard and got into medical school in July because I wanted to be like my dad. But college hasn't been what I hoped. I wanted to make friends and have fun, but money has been tight. My parents pay my tuition, but I have to cover everything else. So besides school, I work jobs like tutoring, helping at events, and working at a bar. Even with all that, it's hard to pay for rent and food. I switch jobs to fit my class schedule and usually work on weekends. It's been really hard, both mentally and physically. I get sleepy in class and don't have energy to study after work. I'm falling behind and I'm scared I might have to repeat the year. School is supposed to be my main focus, but I can't give it my full attention. I felt stressed and called my mom for a little help with money. My dad is always working, so my mom handles the bills. Even though my dad earns a good salary, my mom said they couldn't give me more because tuition already costs a lot. I felt stuck. A lot of my friends get help from their parents, and I wish I had that too. Still, I decided to keep working. When midterms came, I wasn't ready. I had to retake some exams. I finished them in early August and then had summer break. I planned to work a lot during the break to save up money. After summer, I want to cut back on work and focus more on school. That means I need to save more now. I'll spend less, eat cheap food like instant noodles and discounted meals, and use my bike instead of paying for rides. I never had to worry about money growing up, so this is new to me. I didn't expect to struggle like this. I stayed in touch with a friend through texts. Seeing their fun college photos made me feel sad about how different our lives were. They often invited me out, but I had to say no because I didn't have money or time. One friend messaged, "I'll drive, let's do something free." I replied, "I'm working every day, I'm also going home for the holidays." They were worried and said, "You seem really tired, I think you're working too much." I told them, "I'm strong enough, and I need to earn money, let's meet up once school starts again." Then I went to my bar job, but that night, something happened. I collapsed during my shift. It was a busy Friday. While carrying drinks, I felt dizzy. Next thing I knew, I was in a hospital. The doctor said I passed out from being too tired and not eating enough. I got in 4 and was sent home the same day. I called my boss right away to say sorry. He told me that when I passed out, he called an ambulance and also told my parents. "You've been working too much. I relied on you a lot. I'm sorry, please take the rest of the month off," he said. That meant I wouldn't earn any money from the bar for a while. On the subway ride home, I thought about picking up more tutoring jobs. I felt confused and unsure. I was supposed to work that night. The next day, since I didn't have to work, I stayed in bed to rest. When I checked my phone, I saw a message from my friend that I missed while I was unconscious. I replied and told him what had happened. After hearing about everything, he came over. He brought groceries and cooked spaghetti for me. While we ate, we talked about how expensive it is to live alone. I told him I wasn't getting any financial help from my parents, and he was shocked. "That's why you've been working so much, but your dad's a doctor, shouldn't he be helping you?" I asked my mom, and she said they're struggling just to pay my tuition. "Really? You're an only child, right? Maybe if you ask again, they can send something." I did ask. She said they couldn't even send a little. "That's strange. Maybe your dad is sick and can't work," he said. That made me stop and think. My dad is a doctor, he used to drive a nice car, and we lived in a fancy neighborhood. I always went to private schools, so why would my mom suddenly say there's no money? I got worried and texted my mom, "Are you and dad okay?" She replied later, "We're fine." But I didn't feel better. I thought maybe they were just saying that to keep me from worrying. I had already planned to visit home for the holidays, so I decided I would ask them in person. I thanked my friend, and he said, "Bring me back a souvenir." I felt really grateful for him. When the holidays came, I bought the cheapest flight I could find. I could only stay 1 day and 1 night because of work, but I was excited. When I got home, my parents were at the door. My dad looked surprised. "You've lost a lot of weight," he said. I didn't notice, but I guess I looked different. My mom looked shocked too and didn't say anything. For lunch, my mom made salad, soup, and chicken wings. It had been a long time since we all ate together. As we sat down, my dad looked at me with concern. "You look thin. Are you eating well? I told him honestly, not really, this is the best meal I've had in a while. What do you usually eat? He asked. Mostly instant noodles, bread, and cheap prepackaged food. What about your school cafeteria? It's too expensive, it costs about $5. My dad looked confused. Is the money I've been sending not enough? I was confused too. What money? I haven't gotten any. My dad was shocked. You haven't gotten any money in 4 months? No, have you really been sending it? I asked your mom to send you $2,000 every month. Really? I was stunned. Mom told me we didn't have enough money. My dad looked really confused. We're not struggling, what's going on? Then he turned to my mom. Paisley, have you been sending Logan the money? My mom looked down and said nothing. I started to worry again, maybe my dad had lost his job and was just hiding it. But my dad said, no, I'm still working like usual. That made me feel better, but I still didn't understand. Then why didn't I get the money? I asked. Paisley, please say something, Dad said again. After a moment of silence, my mom finally said quietly, I haven't sent any money. Both Dad and I were shocked. Why not? Dad asked. There's just a lot to pay for, Mom said. But the house is already paid off. Then she admitted the truth, I've been keeping the money for myself. I was speechless. She continued, I read online that medical students can make money by tutoring. I thought you'd be fine. I didn't realize how bad it was, even when you asked for help. Then Dad said, your boss called and told us you collapsed, and now I see how thin you are. What? Logan collapsed? My mom asked. It seemed she hadn't told Dad. I explained, yeah, but I'm okay now. Dad turned to her, Paisley, why didn't you tell me? I was afraid you'd find out I wasn't sending the money, she said. My dad was angry. This is terrible. Logan worked so much he collapsed, all because he had no money. I didn't mean to hurt anyone, my mom said, not sounding very sorry. Dad asked, what have you been doing with the money? There was a long pause. She finally spoke. Actually, I'm in debt. What? Dad and I were both shocked. It was hard to believe. She always seemed so organized, the kind of person who carefully tended to her flowers and handled the bills. I've been using the money to pay off my debts. How much do you owe? Dad asked, completely stunned. Still avoiding eye contact, she answered softly, about $100,000. $100,000? I couldn't believe it. Dad took a deep breath. How did it get that bad? I started gambling, she admitted. I have gambling debts, and I never told you. Dad held his head in his hands. Why would you even do that? 2 years ago, I started just for fun. I won some money, and it felt good. At first, I only used a little, but I started going to the casino more and more. I got hooked. I've never gambled, so I couldn't understand how it got so out of hand. I kept trying to win back what I lost, but I kept losing. I even used some of our savings. You spent more than just the debt? Dad asked. She nodded. About $30,000 from our savings. I stopped when I got scared you'd find out. She looked like she was about to cry. If you'd told me earlier, we could have done something. You could have paid it back little by little with a job, Dad said gently. Then she snapped. I refuse to work part-time. Dad's expression changed. Come on, this is your debt. You have to face it. I've been a stay-at-home mom for years. I can't just start working now. That's why I borrowed from payday lenders. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Then the interest kept growing. I had to borrow from more places just to keep up, and now it's out of control. Dad's voice dropped. Are you still gambling? Yes. It's the only way I can see to get out of this, she said, sounding desperate. She stood up, eyes shining with hope. I was hoping you'd help me pay it off. Dad paused. He looked emotional, but instead of what she expected, he said, this is your severance. I want a divorce. What? Divorce? I was stunned. Mom's face changed instantly, from hope to panic. No, I won't agree to a divorce. Dad stayed calm but firm. You chose gambling while your son was suffering. You hid this from me and risked everything. I know, but I'll stop. Please, forgive me. You have a gambling problem. You need to see a doctor. People with addictions often relapse. I'm not addicted. I can quit anytime, she insisted. No, If we stay like this, we'll lose everything. I have to leave, for my own good, and for Logan's. I'll stop tomorrow, she promised, clearly not understanding how serious this was. I was deeply worried, both about the money and how she couldn't see her own addiction. Dad made it clear, if I pay off your debts, we're not splitting our assets. What? I can't agree to that. If you don't pay it back, they might freeze your account. She fell silent. I couldn't believe how my short visit home had turned into such a huge mess. I felt uneasy, not knowing what would happen next. Dad, can't you wait a bit, maybe think it over? I asked. I'm sorry, Logan, I've already made my decision, he said. It wasn't a decision made in the heat of the moment, he had clearly thought this through. After that, I went to my room. I lay on the bed, still hearing their voices in the background. Mom was yelling, Dad was speaking firmly but not yelling back. With school and home life crashing down on me, I eventually fell asleep. The next morning, Mom looked exhausted, her eyes were red from crying. I had planned to stay a bit longer, but the heavy mood made me want to leave early. Dad drove me to the airport. Apparently, Mom hadn't agreed to the divorce yet. Logan, I'm sorry for everything, Mom told me. It's not your fault, I said, even though it partly was. Dad turned to me and said, I'll start sending your allowance directly, you don't need to worry anymore. Thanks, Dad, that really helps. Take care of yourself, too. I flew back to New York. The rest of the summer break went by with work, but I couldn't stop thinking about my parents. A few months later, I found out that Mom had finally agreed to the divorce. Dad's resolve wore her down, he paid off her debts, and they didn't split the family assets. I had mixed feelings about the divorce, but in a way, it brought some peace. Thanks to Dad's support, I didn't have to work as much anymore. I could focus more on school and even had time to relax with friends. Later, I heard from Mom's side of the family that she went back to gambling, racked up even more debt, and eventually had no choice but to work part-time. She also started going to therapy.